Hey guys, welcome to Diecast. And in today's video, I would like to share to you what I've been doing for, I'd say a couple years now. So I have been selling my diecast models, and I also have been buying some as well. So there are things that people will be looking for before we start into what is the process, what's the best way to do it. So just to be clear here, just my disclaimer, this is the way I do it. I personally do it this way. So far I've had 100% satisfaction. I haven't had any emails or messages that people are saying, oh yeah, like this didn't arrive well, it came out from the whole package. Like for example, like this is a good example. So what would happen would be from the base to the car itself, it would come off. So stuff like that, just kind of frequently answered questions here that people would be wondering about on what to do. So yeah, so just a disclaimer, this is how I do it. I know there's multiple ways of doing it, but personally this is how I would do it, and I hope this will help you guys out. Anyways, since that is out of the way, let's get on it. I just want to quickly show you guys the materials that I use for this video. So first, I'm going to use some scissors, handy dandy auto art pick. This is a screwdriver. I know it's kind of weird, but yeah, this is the Phillips screwdriver, Phillips head. Got some tape. And we have more tape for the outer box. And of course our model. And to fill the box, I'm going to have to use either popcorn peanuts, air pockets, or my favorite, if you don't have any of those two, newspaper, which we will get to later, but mostly stick to these guys and probably have one of each of these. But if you already have models at home that you've gotten from somewhere else that has been shipped, you probably have these laying around, especially this guy. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is take this car out of the box. And the reason behind this is we need to make sure that this model is actually secure with the base. So it's not enough to do just that, because that doesn't guarantee you that someone from shipping is just going to safely drop the car, like just nestle it like that. Sometimes it could have been jostled in the vehicle, their shipping vehicle, or whoever takes care of it, and think of it inside a box, and they just toss it, right? So what's going to happen? So things might happen to the base, a lot of things. So we're going to do two things. We're going to make sure that the screws on the base to the car are tightly secured, not like 100% tight, like you're just going to like ruin the screws to the base. I'm just going to make sure that it's nice and snug. And the other part is we are going to apply some tape covered with some Kleenex. I like to use Kleenex. Some people use paper towel or tissue paper. I like Kleenex just because it's a lot softer and it can actually prevent any harshness from the abrasiveness of like the paper towel or tissue paper. Like, I found it the softest, to be honest with you. You could use whatever you want. So first, let's open this guy up. That was easy. You guys probably see my videos opening these up, so done it so many times already. I would definitely suggest like the auto art pick. Okay, so there's 3 screws for this guy. I'm gonna get my screwdriver, and I'm just gonna make sure, clockwise of course, that they are secure. So that's snug. This one's a bit loose, just a little bit of a turn there. Nothing too crazy. That one's good. So you don't want to force it. You just want to make sure that it's snug. Like, it's snug. You don't want to force it and it's gonna drill all over the car and ruin the base. Yeah, so that's secure. We've already checked that part. And I don't know, for some reason I like to just check it just to make sure, but obviously it's not going to go anywhere. And then let's do the next part. So we are going to take some Kleenex. Should have mentioned this for the materials, but yeah, Kleenex. And you are going to basically do sort of like a reinforcement. So we're going to do one right here and one right here. But there's a problem though. If you can see in the model, there's an antenna right there. And obviously we don't want to ruin that. So we're going to go as close as we can right here, but not interfering with the antenna there, just to make sure it arrives safely. So with this is just one sheet of Kleenex. I'm going to half it up. And then we are just going to put it right on top of it. I've had models actually that arrived, and I specifically told them to do this method that I'm doing, and I guess they just did it in a shortcut manner where they just taped on the model itself. And this is a good example. There's a lot of decals there, right? So if you put tape, adhesive tape, on this model here, all these decals here are going to come off as soon as you take it off. And there's a point of no return. As soon as you put tape here, it's gonna come off. And that has happened to me before, I think once or twice. So I don't want that to happen to anybody. See, like just opening the box and you're gonna see that model like that. No, not a good time. Okay, so I got my tape here. So we're gonna go from the back to the front. So start with the very farthest area that you're at. And when you're doing this, be careful with the antenna, because sometimes the antenna is right here. I've dealt with antennas being right there, so be careful and keep in mind that any part of the car that you're going to hit, because this is a little bit obtrusive here. So we're just going to run it down here, and we're going to tape it just like that. Just going to get this away. So I'm just going to tape it on the base just like that. Okay? And then with this end, so now it's tightened, I could just kind of apply more pressure here. And it's on this nice auto art frame, so it's not going to go anywhere. Applied a little bit of pressure, and then you could just go around town with it. It's probably easier if I'm not doing this on video, but it's for educational purposes, right? And then from here, I just go around one more time, but probably gonna cut it from here. Just like that. And then have it nice and snug right across this guy. Just like that. So there's no sign of the tape touching the car at all. And it goes right around. It's nice and snug, and I would recommend to just kind of like seal it a bit just so it doesn't move around. It shouldn't, but just to be sure. Yeah, so just kind of like press onto it. And one more thing that I like to do is just kind of see how much tension it has. Just like press on it a bit. So yeah, there's a little bit of tension there. Like you don't want it to be like crazy tight. And we're gonna do the same with this one. So yeah, for the back, I had to go a little bit off screen because it is a little bit of a scary part, so I did not want to ruin this since this is a sold model. So I just made sure you can see the clearance that I made there, and as well as there is a little bit of tension there. You don't want it too tight, you don't want it too loose either. So it's in there good. And then at the same time, yeah, like underneath the model, you can see that it's running past through, and just make sure these guys are tight here. They're not gonna go anywhere. But yeah, we made sure that the antenna has a good clearance around it. As you can see, it's a good ½ an inch away from it. And this is not going to go anywhere. It is not going to go anywhere. Okay, so before we begin the next step, I just want to quickly show you guys something here that you can skip this step with the whole tissue paper thing. And the reason behind that is you do get boxes like these in AutoArt, but most of the time you would get these ones as well. So what's different? Well, you have basically the box itself, and then inside comes this styrofoam, which has a bunch of screws for the base as well. So technically you don't need this part to reinforce in case the screws come off. All you have to do with this part is to make sure the screws are nice and snug, they're not going anywhere, and that's it. I guess you can go to this next part, which will need some bubble wrap. And it should look like this. So obviously it still needs to be covered in Kleenex inside, but this is just an example for you. So it has bubble wrap everywhere, like absolutely everywhere. Make sure every nook and cranny is bubble wrapped. Okay, so for the next step, we have a few choices here. So we are about to put this item in a box, but you sort of need another layer for it. So a good example would be this guy. So if I open this tiny Tupperware, this is the car. So let's pretend this is this whole setup here, and this is the inner portion of the box. So just as is like this, you put this guy in there. Obviously if it goes in transit, yeah, it's hard to close actually. There you go. So it's gonna do this, right? That's how the model is gonna go, and obviously this is pretty fragile. So you need to fit all this airspace with something to buffer it. So I like to see it as sort of like a bird's nest. So if you put all this bubble wrap in there and you put this card in there, just a mock-up, I know it's not perfect. Obviously you'd put another layer of bubble wrap on top if you want to ship this guy. So it's a lot better, right? So obviously you need to fill more air pockets fit more of those bubble wrap for that empty airspace. So obviously right there and right on top, of course. So that's technically what we have to do to this model. So we have 3 options. You got air packs, you have popcorn peanuts, and we got good old newspaper. So I'd say this is the most cheapest option, because you get it in your mail anyway and whatnot, so I'd say this isn't so bad. But if you already have models that you've purchased elsewhere, chances are you'd get popcorn peanuts, and these guys are the best just because they fill everything so well. So for this video, this is what I would use. But let's say I ran out, which I've had before, I would definitely go for the newspaper. And lastly, I would resort to the air pockets, just because if this punctures, there's nothing left to protect the car, so it's just that empty space there. So with this, what I would do is I just take a sheet, as so, just like a one sheet, and I would, I'm just gonna move this model here, I'd sort of roll it but crumple at the same time. And fold it, and that would be one. So that would kind of fill up the space there, and then build it up, build it up, build it up, and you can kind of gauge there if you need more. So you kind of have to be creative. So now that we have the box that we need, we're just gonna put a blanket, or should I say a layer of packing peanuts. That's what I prefer right now, but whatever you have, like let's say the newspaper method, it would be the same thing. So just one layer of whatever you got. So I do have the packing peanuts right here, have it in a box, so I'm just gonna pour it on there. I think that should be enough for a layer. So as you can see here, I'm just going to flatten that down, make it all nice and even, and it should look something like this. And then once we have that, we can put our model inside. And we're going to put it right on the middle. And then we're going to apply more of the packing peanuts on the edges. So once you're done filling up with the peanuts on the sides, you should have something that looks like this. So you're going to ask me, okay, what about those sides here? Right here. And right here. Like, it's pretty vulnerable, isn't it? So with that, you gotta come up with some special stuff. So we also have foam. I know this gets a little bit complicated, but it all really depends on what kind of box you have. So the closer the box it is, the better, but sometimes you might have to modify the box as well. That gets a little bit tedious, but you gotta do what you gotta do. And if you have like a really big awkward box, then that person has to pay more for shipping unless they really wanted it in that specific box. So this is what I would use to fill the gap in these situations, and it's firm yet it has some cushion to it. That's what I would use in these situations. So after we covered up the two sides right here with those foam boards, then we're just going to fill it up like this, and we're going to fill it up right on top. So we're going to slightly close it just to see if it's too much. If it's too much, you can always get a handful, just like that, and then even it out, and then try again. Because you don't want it to be way too tight. You're gonna have some wiggle room, just a little bit. So I'm gonna reduce a little bit more. That seems to be good. And that's good. And then as soon as I have it in this state, before I even tape it or anything, I like to shake it a little bit. This is what I call like the shake test. So as you can see, I'm shaking it. The contents inside of the box are not moving at all. So you could definitely feel the movement. If you can feel it, then you're gonna need more packing peanuts, or there might be some negative space inside the box that you need to fill it up with something. So just give it a shake. This is good. This is perfect. This is how I want it to be. And then you just finish it off with this tape all around. So now that I have every opening part of the box taped up, I just want to show you guys how I did here. So obviously this part right here is taped. Pretty much all the edges are taped. And one of the things that I like to highlight in this part is make sure these holes right here are covered as well. I'd say that's a crucial thing, just because you don't want any moisture or any kind of foreign object coming in there, especially moisture. And again, once this is done, I would do the shake test. As you can see, there's nothing, but I actually took those foam boards off. Lots of words there. Yeah, and then I would shake it side to side. See that difference there? There's a little bit of movement, so that's the difference there. Compared to how it is if I move it this way. Compared to, you can hear that movement. So you have to fill up that gap there. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I hope this video helps you out. If you guys have a different method, please feel free to comment down below and let me know how I could improve this, or if you guys liked it, or if there's another way you would come across this situation. Please let me know down below. Anyways, guys, see you in the next video. Have a good one.